Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone to this regular meeting of the Delray Oaks City Council. Can I roll call, please?
Councilmember Ui,
Present.
Councilmember Howlett,
Present.
Councilmember Baxter Cronin,
Present.
Councilmember Shirley. Here. Mayor Donaldson.
Here, please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is public comment. General public comment must deal with matters subject to the jurisdiction in the city and are not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council on matters not appearing on the agenda may do so now. There'll be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Public comment is now open.
Good evening, my name is Cecilia Frostcom from the Oaks, and I would like to introduce something. I know you're going to speak about a tobacco ban in public areas. We are interested in talking about a tobacco ban in a multi-unit homes.
Okay, we'll be talking about that agenda item later. If there's something that doesn't apply to that agenda item, you can talk about that now. Otherwise, when that comes up,
Okay.
you can provide your comment.
Okay, and I also have a handout for the council. Can I give it to you now or wait till?
Just wait until
Okay.
we get to
All
that.
right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. I'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the council would like to pull?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item C1, please.
Okay, C1, any other items? Are there any items that the public would like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none. Can I have a motion then to approve the consent agenda minus item C1?
So moved.
I second.
Okay, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, let's go to item C1, which is the approval of the regional agency boards and committees representative appointment list. Councilmember Bill.
Yeah, so I wanted this to come out in front of the entire council. Mayor Donaldson, I already mentioned to you my desire to be on the M1W board. I came in late last year because of the appointment process and felt like I kind of got the leavings off the list. I don't have a primary assignment anywhere. I have secondary assignments. I spent 39 years of my life with Monterey One. I know that organization inside out, upside down, any which way you will look at it. I've been in the water and wastewater business prior to that my entire life. I was my first welding girl at 6 years old. I feel like I need a primary assignment. That's one that I fit into really well. And I wanted to bring it up for the council. And the other, I'm on different committees. I am a member of the Parks and Rec, and I'm also a member of the Finance Committee and Public Works Committee, but those other than finance aren't being dealt with. So I get comments from people, how come I don't turn in council member reports? I don't do anything. Shots I said, I got fear of voting and stuff. So I would really like a primary spot, and Monterey One is a really good fit for me and what I know in the world. Okay.
Yeah, and I would think that you don't do anything. I think you want to your own council. Thank you for that. Are there any comments from the council? Yes.
I just have a question. I know that our city manager mailed us the list of committee appointments in November, straight before Thanksgiving. And then the protocol was to ask city manager Burton if there's any changes we want to make, and then he would talk to the mayor. And so presumably I'm assuming that's what happened with Bill's request. So I guess my question for you, Mayor, is why didn't you honor that request?
Yeah, so I received feedback from the city manager that every council member was satisfied with the status quo on all positions. He mentioned that Councilmember Ragsdale Cronin would potentially bring up the idea of being on M1W, but nothing was confirmed. So this is the first time that I'm hearing that he actually wants to do that.
Okay, when the list came out, I did submit an email, maybe I did it wrong, but I sent an email to John, city manager Gerton, saying that I want to be appointed to M1W. And I can go back through my files and find it if I need to.
Okay, there was some question of whether or not that you wanted to do that. If that was the case, that was not
Okay,
conveyed.
I told him that I wanted to be considered for that position. And then, in all fairness to him, I told him last week that I was gonna bring this up tonight, so he didn't get blindsided by it.
Okay, and it might be that I've been on vacation and there, that.
I took email done that I could find it.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay, any other council member discussion on this item? Okay, I would just say from my perspective, I think I've done a really good job representing the city of Delray Oaks in the position at Monterey One Water. I've established a really good relationship with not only the staff there, but my fellow members of the board. Keeping in mind that board positions are policy driven, policy focused, where members of the board aren't necessarily getting into the specific operations of any organization, which I know you have a lot of experience with. It mainly focuses on policy and policy actions. Once again, I think I've done a really good job of representing the city on that board. Now, if it's a primary position that you're looking for, maybe as a compromise, I know you have a lot of experience with wastewater management. Maybe if Councilmember Uwe is okay, that maybe you could take the primary position on seaside sanitation, which is in line with your experience, also gives the primary position, and maybe it would be, like I said, a compromise if Councilmember Uwe would be okay with it, to take that on as a primary. And I think you were the alternate on it, okay, that you essentially switch. So would that be something that maybe the council would want to consider?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
thank you so much, for the, offer and also, or, suggestion. I'm just like looking at if you'll do that, I will only gonna be having one primary role. And I want to really like contribute a lot in the city and being in these two boards that I even have chosen back in the days, because this is the only really like boards that can fit into my schedule. And as we all know, that I'm also like working full time, and then plus with my work as a councilman here at LB Oaks, and these are really like the two that I can really like contribute greatly. And then if I want to be the primary role for this Seaside County Sanitation District, I'm only gonna be having one. And I know that I have also worked hard on that board, and it was really like a good board, only three of us in there, and we have really like good working relationships in there, and then the staff knows me well in there, and then knowing that I'm the representative from Delray Oaks for the Seaside County Sanitation District. So it feels like it would be unfair, Mr. Mayor, if that will be taken out, or taken away from me. So I would probably like suggest like for others, because there are a lot of the board assignments in here that many of us or our council members have a member of. and then, and I will suggest that if, to look at those other assignments rather than my assignments.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. You have anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor's testimonial to his experience, relationship, and tenure with M1 Water speaks loudly to me. I think that he's I would agree that he's been very effective in our relationship between Delray Oaks and M1 Water, and that his position there should be maintained. I don't see any calls to switch mainstream. I'd like to see some continuity there. With respect to your experience, and no disregard whatsoever, I serve as the primary on the Peninsula Water Management District, Monterey Peninsula Water Management District. And as a compromise, I would be willing to relinquish that primary position to you. Even Stephen trade, I'll take the secondary with Councilmember Uli on Seaside County Sanitation District, if that's would be an appeasing suggestion.
Well, do you have any thoughts on that?
So two things. One, Scott, Mr. Mayor, this is not any reflection on your abilities, duties, what you have done while you've been on the board. This has nothing to do with that. This really just falls in my wheelhouse. It also, as Mr. Dewey pointed out, I work full-time. This falls very well into a position that I can get to those meetings at night and get to the TAC or the whatever subcommittees I may or may not be on over there. It just works well for me besides being something that is directly in my wheelhouse. And secondly, the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District, while it is an important role, it is not, you're not part of the board of the district. You're on the TAC I'm already on. I think I was on the TAC at one point to the Technical Advisory Committee. I'm not sure what the PAC is, Political Advisory Committee, I'm not sure. But it's not a regular seat because those are elected seats, I believe.
Yes.
Given the fact that Bill expressed an interest in this position in November, and the fact that he has so many years with this organization, he needs an appointment. We owe him an appointment. And he needs one that meets at night. I just think this, M1 would be the best fit for Bill.
Okay, so the primary position seems to be, is what really that you wanna participate, you want a larger participation as a primary.
Yes,
Okay, maybe what I need to do is go back and take another look at this, which primary positions are out there, which ones potentially we could recommend and to see that would work. So, maybe it's best that I table this and take a look at it, a harder look, and then the next meeting, we can take another look and see exactly if I can find something that is amicable to every council member.
Through the mayor, are we gonna
Yeah.
go out for public comment?
Yeah,
That was just my next thing, because it was pulled from the representative item.
right. Okay, with that, public comment on this?
No one. Correction on that, that may or may not have a public comment, but I did notice, I think this is all BB listed as the Water Management District TAC rep.
yeah, we switched that.
Yes, we'll make that.
It's not on there, but I remember that's what we did.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it and I see my name. So that's.
Okay, any public comment on this particular item? Yes, please.
My name is Helen Birdsong. I live at the Oaks. And I remember this council person being elected, Mr. Mayor, and one of the things that he was elected on was his experience with Monterey One, that he could bring so much knowledge to us. And I'm sure you've done an excellent job. I'm not trying to say you have or have not, but when you've got somebody that is an expert, why wouldn't he be used? And his skills used and exploited? And I'm sure you can do lots of other things, because you've got many hats on them, and maybe it would free you up. And he definitely must know people there, as you have got to know them, because he's worked with them all his life. or for the majority decide, I think it's a good fit that he takes that position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a public comment. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. What I would like to do, like I said, is table this item. Now, is that something?
To the mayor, I'd like
Yes.
to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we accept all the suggested appointments, except we place, Councilmember Rex Cronin on the M1 Water Board as a permanent position and maintain myself as the alternate.
Okay, we have a second? Okay,
I second,
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can second it, because I'm involved in the motion, I did the first one.
You may.
I can second it, John. Don't see it.
yes, I second it, and I second it is because it is worthy to be discussed, and also, it's not that I'm agreeing to it, but we have to really like discuss on this, since it already been put into to the floor for this motion, so if we can discuss, further, regarding the motion, that would be, like, nice, and also for the public to know. So,
okay, so with that further discussion, I'll start with you, Councilmember Louis.
yes, Mr. Mayor, my thoughts, for this, for the M1, I know, both of you have interest in the Monterey One, board. And I really like applaud you too for really like, volunteering. Because being in the board is not really easy, and we have to read a lot of reports and go to their meetings. And, and then, of course, also hearing from, Councilmember Raxel Cronin about he doesn't have yet a primary, role of all of our appointments in here, and I, of course, hear that, and I feel that, because if I were in her shoe, in his shoes as well, I would feel that I won't be contributing much, for the betterment of our city, and that's why, it's really like worthy to discuss and to consider, council members Raxdale Cronin suggestion, why not him to be the primary role for the M1 water, especially that he has been, in that company for many years, and, it may be like a policy thing, but of course, if you have technical background with the organization, it would be, I think, would be more effective, as a policy maker to make these decisions, if you have been in the works, so if you have been even in the lower position and even the operations of the organization, so, and I really believe with that point that, being, like Councilmember Raxel Cronin to be there as one of our representative for the board of M1, that he can provide more insights, into the policy making. So, so that's why, I want to really like to discuss this, if we can really like have, council member Raxel Cronin to be on that board to represent, the regulars. I know, Bill's term would just be, if I'm not mistaken, this year, right? Okay, so, 1 year, and I think, I feel like if we can give him a chance, to be on this board, I think it would be really like better for our city, rather than, like, take this away from him. So that's my point, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, by the way, for giving us the voice in here in the council.
Okay, thank you,
That's all.
Councilmember Howell.
Thank you, Mayor Donaldson. I've already expressed my opinion on this matter. With respect to the mayor's initial direction on steering these proceedings, I will sit in abstention. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Sherwood.
I support, Bill because of his experience, his knowledge. And I think he would be an excellent representative, and I would expect a council report if he is on that one. I wouldn't know what's going on. At M1, he needs an appointment that is at night. And I think it's our duty as a council to make sure that our fellow council members are participating regionally, just like we all are. And Bill was appointed late and wasn't given this opportunity. So, for this coming year, I'd like to see him on, and one, I think he'd represent us very well.
Okay, any other comments?
So the only other comment I can make is, I have relationships with a lot of the board members. I did multiple board presentations when I worked there. And I have maintained relationships with the board. Some of the board members have moved on and some are new, but there's a few of the old folks around it that remember me. And I do have a good rapport with the upper executive management. So it's not all about me and the worker guys and out chasing things down the street. It's about an integral knowledge of the board and how it functions and its importance to this area. So I just feel like it would be a really good appointment for me. It's right 100% square in my way. Okay, thank you.
All right, yeah, I'll just address this for what it is. It's basically forcing me out of this position. It's a position that I want to maintain. It's a position that I think I've done a great job representing the city of Delray Oaks. And once again, I think having been part of that organization for a while, I've created relationships there and have worked with their staff extremely well. So there's nothing that I have done that would justify taking me out of this position. Councilmember Uwe said that this is something that we don't want to take away from Councilmember Ragsdale Cronin. That's not the case. This would essentially be taken away from me. Now, in terms of expertise, your expertise is in wastewater management. That is a part of M1W, but they also do things well above and beyond that. That's why I suggested as a compromise, maybe the wastewater management position with Seaside Sanitation, and then potentially look at other positions that maybe address your concern, Councilmember Uwe, and maybe provide you another primary position where you can be involved like you would like to be. So I can do that. I can work other primary positions if that's the ultimate intent. So that's something that we can all work out as a council. But specifically for M1W, like I said, this is exactly what I said it is. It's forcing me out of a position that I don't want to leave, that I think I've done an extremely good job at and would like to continue to do it. Now, I know we have a motion on the floor and, I'll just call for the vote and see how it all plays out. But those are my feelings on it, and it would be very disappointing if I'm not allowed to continue on that board. So with that, I'd like to call for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Uwe.
Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate, the work that you have done. It's not that, we're taking M1 away from you. It's just like giving a chance to the council member Ragsdale Cronin, where in fact, there's only like one,
Councilmember Louis, we had already called for the roll call.
so my vote, Mr. Mayor, is, yes.
Councilmember Howard.
Abstain.
Councilmember Shirley.
Yes.
Councilmember Ragsdale Cronin.
Yeah.
Mayor Donaldson.
No, so the motion passes. That'll make, Councilmember Ragsdale Cronin the primary on M1W, the alternate Shirley, the rest will be, as listed in the board appointments. Okay, with that, next item is old business, which we have none. The next item after that is new business. The first item is to adopt a resolution 2023 to approve professional service agreements with Whitson Engineers and Denise Duffy and Associates for engineering and environmental services for the South Boundary Road realignment and General Jim Boulevard intersection project. With that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for context, normally this is the kind of thing that would be on the consent agenda for these kinds of agreements, but this is kind of a momentous milestone for the city, so I decided to put it as a presentation. Basically, as to telegraph for the community that this is something that's going and it's going to be significant for our little town, and it's something that we've been building towards for a long time. Can we say that? And will be the first step in moving forward and getting something going on the former corridor properties. So this item is contracts for the design work and for the environmental work for South Boundary Road realignment, which will go, everybody knows South Boundary Road connects to General Jim Moore right now. For those of you who have driven on it, it's not a very safe intersection. Most of the accidents that occur in the city occur at that intersection. So the primary focus of this project is safety design in order to make that intersection safer for folks going out for doctor's visits out on Ryan Ranch, but also as we plan development and housing and commercial and retail out there, and start to look at what the future of that intersection and improvements to that road are going to be critical to that happening. So it's a current safety issue, but it's also an issue for the future of the city. And so this is just the start. This is for design work and for environmental work with the new road alignment. So for those of you who maybe aren't as well adept and familiar with this, the plan now is that corner, the north corner of General Jim Moore at South Boundary Road right now. There's 4 to 5 acres there that have been preserved as a rare plant habitat. And so we're going to have a realignment of South Boundary Road that actually works better from a safety perspective and will slow cars down, but will also enable a roundabout there for better flow of traffic. And it moves the intersection where it's not on a hill, so you have better line of sight, so traffic can see each other better. So it's a good project for the environment, but also for safety, but that requires new environmental review. So we have Andy Hunter from Whitson Engineers, sorry. Karen Harway from Denise Duffy and Associates, they're consultants. They know this project inside and out, so if you have specific questions about the project itself, they're here to answer any questions. But otherwise, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, sounds good. So with that, Councilmember Louie, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just happy for this staff report, Mr. Burton. I'm really very contented with what we're seeing out of the city hall, because this kind of project is really like a testament that we are really looking after for the well-being of our residents here, and not even just the residents of Delray Oaks, but also for other citizens within the Monterey Peninsula, and also visitors that visit us in here. Because I've always been in my heart, close to my heart, public safety. It's always been in my thoughts, like how we can really make our city safer for everyone in here that we even live, we visit. And this project along South Boundary Road is really like a start to make this vision really be coming to fruition. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Howell.
Thank you, Mayor Donaldson. Just to echo, Councilmember Huyen, to express my thanks both to Whitson Engineering and Denise Duffy and Associates. Thank you ever so much for helping us quite literally lay the groundwork and pave the way to a bright and prosperous future for the city of Delray Oaks. Thanks for being part of the team. Thank you.
All right. Vice Mayor Shirley.
Yes, I have a few questions. To the city manager, can you speak to the cost? I know that, so we were given money for design work from Fora to the tune of $518,564. The total cost for these contracts is gonna be $749,803. So we've got a delta of about $231,000. So it's just, can you just remind us what are our plans for maybe covering that difference?
Yeah, so we got that funding, then we have another, 8 million, give or take, that was specifically set aside, to complete the project, so mainly construction, but it's in an escrow account. It wasn't, there's no restrictions on the funding necessarily. Part of it was designated as, intersection project funding, and part of it was set aside for the rest of South Boundary Road. But it's all one project, in my mind, it's all one project. So, a portion of that funding requires, working with the city of Monterey on the escrow account, because this is a project, it's a regional project that's going to benefit more than just the city of Delray Oaks. And the way the escrow account was set up was, we're signatories to it, and so it's the city of Monterey. So we haven't had that level of discussion with them yet, but, and this is the tip of the spear for everything that happens out there, for us, for the city of Monterey, for York School, for the county, for Laguna Seca. So this impacts the whole region for the Parks District. And so, we're kind of in the tip of the spear. And so, we're all gonna work together. And I'm anticipating that we're all gonna work together and we'll get there. We're gonna have to have an agreement with the city of Monterey on releasing those funds from escrow. When we received those funds, it was several years ago, we didn't anticipate a pandemic, we didn't anticipate a lot of turnover in the staffing and a lot of other things into the land use project. Quite honestly, at the time we got the funding, it was given to us really more because Fora was going away, and that's the available funding that they had. It was presented as this will do the project when everybody knew at the time that was not going to complete the project. And costs have just gone up since then, so we're gonna have to be creative. But like I said, this is a regional project, and we have regional partners like TAMC and the Parks District and City of Monterey and the county. And so we have more than just the city of Delray Oaks to bring resources to bear or to find maybe get a little creative, Andy, in the design. Also, because of the new realignment and everything, there's additional environmental work that wasn't anticipated back in 2018. So, but yeah, so we'll be creative. But this is design work, this is just getting us started. The big one comes later after the design, so I think we're fine with this.
Yeah, great, okay, good. So I'm wondering about the time frame for this. So in the Kimley Warren portion, they mentioned that the contract duration is for 12 months. I was just wondering if Woodson had some idea, maybe you already know how long it might take them to.
Yeah, generally speaking, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but generally speaking, the environmental work will dictate kind of how the timeline goes on this. And it's about 2 years, right, Aaron? Yeah, so we can't finish this without the environmental approvals, and so, yeah, be thinking about 2-year timeframe.
Okay, good to know. In the contracts, or I guess in the scope of work, I mean, I know that when we build this road, when we realign this road, we're gonna be including utilities in this. In the scope of work, it talked about 2 meetings with, stakeholders, including utilities, and I was wondering, like, is that enough? Or is this in this just initial design phase, maybe you don't need a lot of talk with utilities, maybe it's in the building phase when you're really coordinating. I was just wondering, connections, like our coordination with utilities in terms of this work.
Right, yeah, this is gonna require, the utilities want to relocate it out there and they can't really understand what the design of the road is, and maybe Andy, you could talk about from your perspective, meeting with your counterparts.
Mindy Hunter, Mixon Engineers. Just to clarify, utilities, by water, sewer, or electric? Or
All, yeah,
So there's a little bit of a different answer to each one of them. So Rainier Coast Water District, has their own capital improvement program for certain utilities. That's not, they will be funding their utility extensions, for water pipe, for instance, down South Boundary Road. So this coordination is just to kind of get that ball rolling, but they have a separate money source for actually, getting the water pipes on the plants and extending that service out and ultimately constructing it. From the PG&E perspective, this will get the plans together to coordinate for PG&E to have lights down the road and the conduit for extensions of power. But ultimately, it's a PG&E that will handle the design after that first coordination. And then ultimately, when development happens down the roadway, each individual parcel, will have their own contact with PG&E at that point. So this isn't extending like a power source to parcel A, B, C. This is to get light down the road.
I guess I just picture utilities all being ideally.
Right.
So is that, so are those things included in the design? The things that go under the road?
Right. So water, sewer would not be part of a Delray Oaks commitment here. That would be, with the separate agencies. So separate from this contract in that regard. And then from a PG&E standpoint, from, gas and electric, just the utilities to coordinate to power the roadway, if you will. Not necessarily utilities to serve an individual parcel, but we can plan for that. So like, you put what's called a conduit under the roadway or to the side of the roadway, so it can easily be pulled later.
Right.
Even though you can't just flip a switch and turn it on.
Right.
So it's kind of yes and no, you plan for it, but it's not really complete.
Got it. Okay. While you're there.
Yeah.
Under the, and this is just, I'm just curious, on the 60% design phase, under stormwater control plan, it talked about on-site treatment of the 85th percentile of the 24-hour storm event. What is on-site treatment? And then there's another on-site retention of the 95th percentile.
Yeah.
Stormwater.
Let's try and describe that. So those are just different amounts of water.
Okay.
So that's getting into the criteria of small storm to a little bit bigger to bigger storm. On site in this case means within the roadway that would be established. So we are trying to create some edge of the road swales, little depressions, sometimes some underground chamber systems to hold the water back. So the water gets filtered as it goes through a special media, stored underground to slow it down, opportunity to percolate. And then the highest of storms would be able to move on their way, a natural course, off to the south. But in essence, we're committed to making sure the stormwater, is cleaned and detained and given the opportunity to percolate within the right of way corridor, the on-site.
Yeah. Okay. Super cool. Like that. And then just my other last comment was in the Kinley-Horn portion, I'm really happy that they're gonna look at traffic analysis with the idea that there'll be homes out there at some point that will have a future increased traffic load. So I know analyzing that roundabout, whether it's 1 lane or 2 lane, I don't know, but I'm just happy that that's being looked at in the future. So thank you, appreciate it.
Andy, and you can just stay up there if you like, for other potential questions. Okay, Councilmember Bill.
Thank you. Yeah, so I just kind of stumped through this and looked at it. I was very happy to see a lot of detail. And I'm assuming that the 100% is a shovel-ready project that we can send out to bid. That's what it says. Just wanted to confirm that. And I also wanted to kind of tack on to that this is a regional project. It's going to impact a lot of other folks just other than us. So it's kind of nice to be able to take a forward-looking approach to this and move forward. So not only for the benefit of the city's properties out there, but the city of Monterey, the school board, I think the school district has some property out there as well. county, and there's a lot of other stuff. This is gonna make a big, big impact on them. I think it's a good thing that the city moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to echo a lot of the comments that have already been made. I'm very happy that we're getting started on this and, once again, other funding sources will materialize as we get moving, forward to the actual execution phase of it. It's important because of the safety factors they've been, mentioned. It's a very dangerous intersection, as everyone knows, at General Jim Moore Boulevard and South Boundary Road, and this will fix that. Not only for the residents of Del Rios, but all the other commuters that go back and forth to Ryan Ranch and utilize that road. It's also important, as mentioned, because of the infrastructure to our property that is out there and the development that we're looking to commence out there. The one thing that I would like to see is periodic updates as we go along, just to make sure that the council is aware of how it's going with the environmental review and any of the other design work, whether that's in form of a presentation from Whitson or DDA, that would be fantastic. And the other thing that I think the public is very interested in is conceptually what that road will look like. So, Andy, can you talk in very vague terms, well, as specific as you can, in terms of what the road design would look like and the intersection?
Sure, so starting at General Boulevard, north to south, 4-lane divided roadway that starts to neck down to 2 lanes and remove the median. In that zone where it's, that striping is necking it down, but the pavement is still really wide. Generally speaking, that's where the roundabout will be placed for the new intersection. So that's how far north we're talking about the shift. And then we'll S-curve its way back to the original alignment and some radiuses that are safe to drive on, but essentially as fast as we can make our way back to South Boundary Road as we head east. The general road section will have one travel lane to the east, one travel lane to the west, and then a center lane that can be used for whether it's an event that needs an extra lane back and forth, or an eventual turn lane to one of the properties. So we'll call it a 3-lane roadway. Small shoulders on either side, but the change that's evolved over the years is there's no longer a bike lane on the roadway, but instead there's a separated bike path that essentially could be connected to the 4 tag routes that you guys are well aware of. That separated bike path, 12 feet wide off on the north side, the uphill side of the roadway, separated between the road and that path would be these grassy swells that I'm talking about for our stormwater to migrate to and be treated. And that path would extend the full length of the roadway, and this condition would go up to Rancho Saucedo, where it meets up with the previously improved roadway as towards the state.
Okay. Now regarding the roundabout, will it then, so going south on General Jim Moore Boulevard, it's 2 lanes, will it go down into 1 lane around the roundabout at that point, or will the roundabout have 2 lanes?
It's a detail that these traffic studies are going to confirm. Sometimes roundabouts might have 2 lanes just to take one turn to the side, like slip lane, off to, for instance, heading north on General Jim and going on to South Boundary. That might be a portion of those 2 lanes, for instance, but traffic models will dictate that, and we'll have to make some decisions about what is best for the safe flow of traffic, what fits in the area. So that would be an update we'd share along the way here.
Okay, and I think you mentioned the utilities already. Would that be center lane where those utilities are? I'm guessing all the electric will be underground as well.
Yeah, generally speaking, sewer would be in 1 lane, water would be in the other. The idea right now, I think that would have the dry utilities like electric, that kind of conduit, potentially underneath that pathway off to the side, so out of the vehicle lanes. But having a 3-lane road it gives some options there, or if there ever needed to be a project to maintain a pipe, as you guys see out here, and we have to close lanes one way at a time, it would be easier to do traffic control and still have two-way traffic to get around. So kind of position the pipes in them.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, thank you for that. I think the public is gonna be very interested in terms of conceptually what that's gonna look like, and that's very helpful. Thank you for that description. So what I'd like to do now is take it out to the public. If you have any questions, or comments, now is your time. Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Any final questions or comments? Councilmember.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
No further comments or questions, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor Sherrill.
Nope.
Councilmember Bill.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, we're good to go. So, we'll entertain, a motion on this item.
We'll make a motion to approve the plan or the resolution is written.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor? None opposed. Item passes unanimously. So I'll move on to our next item, 6B, which is first reading of the tobacco retailer license ordinance and smoke-free public place ordinance. And once again, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So back in October, you'll recall we had a presentation from the county on tobacco ordinances. For the request of Councilmember Howell and Councilmember Shirley. Whether or not we wanted to propose tobacco related ordinances, one specifically for an additional license fee to tobacco retailers. That would go to the county for tobacco education programs, specifically targeted for youth, so that youth don't get into smoking. So they understand the dangers of smoking, and then the other is to ban smoking in areas of the city that can impact the general public. Just some clarification on that, that does not necessarily specifically mean on public property. When we say public, it's restriction activities that can negatively impact members of the public by actions that we do. Could be on private property, such as banning smoking in restaurants, and places of business and things like that. So the two ordinances that we have before you, those proposed ordinances, I believe that we tried to capture everything that was brought up in the October council meeting. And I think we got there, and maybe later we want to have a discussion about broadening multi-unit ordinance. But right now we're focusing on these two. These two are in line with what other jurisdictions in the county have. The one for the tobacco business license actually just basically references the county's ordinance and adopts it by reference, with some modifications to make it specific to the city. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Okay, I'll start with Councilmember Louie. Any questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one question for our city manager. Whether like lessons learned from other jurisdictions, as I've heard that other jurisdictions have already this ordinance, and then what lessons have they really like learned from implementing this, and then maybe we can learn something from that. That's all from me.
Yeah, I honestly, this came up suddenly and we kind of pushed it through pretty quickly, so. Beyond talking to a couple city managers, we haven't had the time to really reach out and talk to staff. The ordinances in other jurisdictions are all relatively new. And those who were the early adopters adopted them just prior to the pandemic, 1 or 2 years maybe before the pandemic, but most of them are in the process or have recently done it. So I talked to city managers, they didn't have really any input about it in terms of enforcement, or has it had an impact yet? So I haven't received any input on that.
Okay, thank you for that response, Mr. Griffin.
Anything else?
That's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
Councilmember Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would just like to say that it has been, your two council members, all of our distinct pleasure in working together, myself and Councilmember Shirley, with the great assistance of the Monterey County Health Department, represented here with her crew presumably, and, with, Ms. Rose, pardon me, representative of our, local Blue Zone project. So concerning the tobacco retailer license, that is a, beautifully crafted document, all tied up neatly with a little Christmas bow, and I have nothing to really comment on there. Councilmember Shirley and I have been working on this, going back and forth, on specifically the smoking ordinance 317. We have discussed some of the language, you've already spoken to that, City Manager Burton, concerning multi-unit dwellings. And so we look forward to, to what extent can I speak to this? This is a non-actionable item, am I right? So am I free to comment? Do I have a little leeway? Through the mayor to the attorney?
I'm sorry, what was the?
This is a non-actionable item. I wouldn't be revealing anything if I were to discuss too much. Pardon me, seeking guidance from legal.
I think you're free to speak about the legislative process in which you came up with the ordinances and work with Councilmember Shirley on that.
Thank you. Sorry, leave it to me to exercise an abundance of caution.
Just one thing I would like to, this is an actionable item.
It is indeed, I mean, it's a first reading of the two ordinances. But I don't know if you refer to actionable meaning speaking to it, or, I mean, the item before the council is an action item, two ordinances, introduction.
I think I'll just continue. Please raise a point of order in silence.
Fair enough.
Where was I? Yes, concerning multi-unit dwellings, we already have, we have numerous comments, from the public. Specifically, residents at the Oaks, which is, quite pertinent to a multi-unit dwelling ordinance, obviously. And, Councilmember Shirley and I have discussed that that might be a bit more in depth than, if anyone has seen the first draft here that we're reading tonight. Some applicable, statutes and guidelines that we will be working on accordingly there. Again, City Manager Gerton has already spoken to that, so more will be revealed. You can expect to see more diligent work on our behalf on that, in the near future. I would like to echo the city manager's comment and thank him for his hard work and, the rest of our staff on this item. Typically, some of our neighboring municipalities have taken 2 years or so to implement such an ordinance, and we have fast-tracked and expedited the process to improve the quality of life in our community within a short 2.5 months. So I'm pretty proud of everyone's work on this. Moving down to some of the details, if we are in item C, under definitions, 8.38.020, on page that it's on, either way, we define multi-unit residence presumably to lend reference to ordinances to come, but there aren't any specifically, again, as I've stated, in this ordinance. So we are wondering, and we'd like to get your feedback on this, City Manager Gerton, should that be struck from this ordinance, or should it remain in lieu of the addition of a separate multi-residence ordinance? That is one area that we discussed. And also based on previous discussions in earlier meetings in October when this was introduced, we mirrored a neighboring municipalities format, their template, as it were. One item was signage. required in public spaces, businesses, so on and so forth. And I think that we would like to see that, or perhaps you could speak to that too. The ordinance is in place, and presumably that would fall upon city management and, our parks department to implement the signage and whatnot. Those are some of my questions. I think that Councilmember Shirley will echo some of that and perhaps expound on it even more so. But those are my only concerns. And again, thank you for everyone for your collaborative work and your contributions to making our community a more beautiful and healthy place. Thank you.
All right, city manager, if you can address the questions.
Sure, so, yeah, so we tried our best to work with what we got from our partners at the county and then look at what other cities around us have implemented. Everybody had a multi-unit, property definition in there, but not necessarily restrictions. I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the only local jurisdiction that restricts currently, multi-unit, is Civic Road.
Right.
And I don't think anyone else does. And there was several years ago, and so it was just hard to get that in the time that we had to do this. So to answer your question, my recommendation would be to leave the definition in there. If we have a definition in there for something that's not addressed, city attorney can weigh in if I'm incorrect, no harm, no foul. We're defining something. It's better to have a definition in there for something that doesn't need to be defined than to not have a definition in there for something that should be defined.
Right.
Yes. And, so I would recommend leave it in there if we start to make changes and they're substantive, then we have to bring this back and review the process again. And that's a fairly minor thing, and I think could possibly benefit us if we want to go that direction. With multi-unit restrictions. Signage,
Yes,
so signage, yes, there was questions, about the number of signs, the meaning of the sign, what kind of signs, and the requirements and how we're going to enforce that with, special events. There was some discussion about the fact that the city generally is the special event planning coordinator stuff. So most of it, and we have one entrance to our special events at the park. But we're not the only ones who do special events. The Moose Lodge does special events. And there's opportunities for others. We don't normally get them, but there's a broader opportunities for special events. So we wanted to encompass all of that. I believe it was Councilmember Bill who brought up that the number in the ordinance that was presented as a draft for your consideration, which we took from combination city and Marine and City of Civic Grove, listed a requirement for 5 signs. And so there was some discussion about whether or not that was really overkill or necessary for our small community. And so what I did for in this draft and then this ordinance was just to put that signs are required. And then on a case-by-case basis at staff level, we can make that determination when we work with people who come in to get special permits. But we still have the requirement. So that's why we grappled with waivers. Was that all your questions?
Yes, if I may. Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
So to set aside, special events, and I do recall, that discussion, number of signs and so on and so forth. And, as you stated, yes, the prohibition is outlined in 8.3, 8.130, and prohibition in unenclosed areas. Number 1, to include the recreational areas, so we're covered there. I think what we'd like to see, and this is probably a discussion better suited for your office, but, we would like to see conspicuously posted and permanent signage in our parks and public areas, similar to the alcohol restrictions and so on. But I'm sure with this prohibition in place, we'll bolster all those measures throughout the city.
Yeah. Sign the parks.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is all from me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Sherwood.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion, and, again, I want to thank staff for moving this forward quickly, and thank you for, work with the county and Blue Zone. I really appreciate the support. I wanna talk about, I do think under enforcement, and I know that we were looking at previous ordinances with the city of Marina, they did have something in here that talked about, placing a sign, post a clear, conspicuous, and unambiguous no smoking or smoke-free sign in at least one conspicuous point within the area. And I think it's important to put this language into the enforcement, primarily because I want to make sure, I know we're gonna follow through with putting signage in the park. But the other place I'm thinking about is in front of Safeway. Safeway already, has tables out there. You are not allowed to smoke out on those tables, but they have no signage. And so you walk by, I just walked by the other day, and someone's smoking. And I just feel that if we're gonna have this policy in our city, that it's fair to require that we post information about it so that everyone is aware. Because if I walk up to someone and say, oh, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to smoke here, and there isn't any signage that I can point to, I'm probably less likely to say something to them. But if there's a sign, I could say, oh, I'd like to reference this. This is something you shouldn't be doing here. And so I have faith that we'll follow through with this on the parks, but I'd like there to be some language in here that requires at least one sign. Mainly so we can have Safeway take part in this as well. And that's really my only other comment. I'm very happy with the tobacco retail license ordinance, thrilled about that. I'm really happy about this smoke-free policy too. And I look forward to working on the multi-unit ordinance as well.
Okay, Councilmember Bill. Yes.
Better question for the city attorney, because I don't think we like to be put on the spot. We'll have. Yeah, the first one, you can weigh in on whether or not that's so smooth, not to do the first reading in this area. And then we would need time to look into jurisdictionally whether or not we can require a private business to post a sign like that on their property. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think that would be the prudent path, and so in the meantime, you could adopt this ordinance as presented with further directions to staff to bring back an amendment when staff has the time to flesh that out.
Oh, great.
But, nothing like that. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but this pretty much falls in line with the marine ordinance, so if that were in the marine ordinance.
Well, it is, well, at least the draft that I saw, it reads, well, it says any employer that has control over areas in which smoking is prohibited by this chapter shall post a clear, conspicuous, and unambiguous no smoking or smoke-free sign in at least one conspicuous point within the area. Sign shall have letters of no less than 1 inch in height and shall include the international no smoking symbol. Signs posted on the exterior of buildings to comply with this section shall include the 25-foot distance requirement set forth in section 8.09.040. The presence or absence of signs shall not be a defense to a charge of smoking in violation of any other provision of this chapter.
Okay, good. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Obviously, they must have already researched. Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Councilmember Bill.
Yeah, real quick, I want to thank, Councilmember Howard and Vice Mayor Shirley for bringing this forward and pushing it through so quick. I'm a former smoker, so I gave it up 25 years ago. So this kind of hits home. I was a very rabid, I was always not supportive of people who were smoking and wonder whether they're not smoking, they were going to be banners around. Still doesn't bother me, if you don't smoke cigarette, go for it, but this protects the general public. Irregardless of my feelings about it, I think this is an excellent start. I think we do need to go back and look at multi-unit and some other things, but as City Manager Griffin has put, this is a placeholder, we get it in the works. And then if we need to amend it as Shorty said, we can bring amendments back as needed. I think it's wonderful. I just wanted to thank everybody for all the hard work you do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So with that, I'll take it out to the public. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
Helen Birdsong, the Oaks Condos. I'm a board member, just a board member at large. Just before I joined, I went to one of our meetings and suggested we made Delray Oaks condos, or the Oaks condos, non-smoking. It was taken under, and then eventually it was sent out, which has to be to every single resident to vote on it. I was told by one member of the board, by then I was on the board, that we couldn't ban it within units. The Sterling Act wouldn't allow us to, and other things wouldn't allow us to. I was surprised, because I believe Palo Alto had done it, I believe that Belmont had done it, but I conceded because the person had been on the board a long time, and I thought, well, they must know what they're talking about. I don't do that anymore, I double check. And it has turned out that that's not true, but it's a little late now. We passed it. We got a big return on that vote, highly unusual. You can send a vote out and get nothing. And it was one person against the non-smoking in all of the public areas of the Oaks condominiums. The only place which this person had explained they could smoke on their decks and their own units. We could have banned it there as well, the personal use decks, but I was told at the time we couldn't. We got a huge pickup on this vote, and we got people coming back saying they wish we could ban it completely within the buildings. To my knowledge, when we put this out, we believe there was 3 smokers in the whole complex only. They didn't vote no on it, they either ignored it, didn't see it, weren't concerned, didn't think it had happened, but they didn't vote no on it. We got 1 no. And the person that was no was to do with the 5th Amendment. I work that out for yourselves. That's why she wanted to do it. Since then, and hearing about the multi-units, we've done the research. Cecilia, who is our secretary on the board, has done the research, and she knows way more about it. But she has a handout for you all. And Pacific Road adopted this in 21, in any 2-unit complexes or more, and have been successful, very successful. As for the not smoking, Carmel put it in a long time ago on the beaches, and there's a big sign as you go onto the beach, no smoking. I was at lunch with somebody the other day that's on the council in Carmel, and we were delighted, because I obviously misheard it, that we were going to go ahead with this, that we were going to make it a multi-unit condo, no smoking. And they were like, wow, they didn't know Pacific Road did it, so it doesn't say an awful lot, but I explained that they had this, and you're like a trailblazer, it will be amazing. I'm trying to get fire lines and have been working on it for almost 12 months for the Oaks. And I mentioned to Kyle when I was speaking to him the other day, we're already a non-smoking exterior complex. If we can make it a non-smoking completely, it helps us with fire insurance. Our fire insurance this year went from 74,000 to 111. If we had things like this, we would have more options instead of a gun at our head, and it would make the city stand out, and we would be a trailblazer. So I hope we adopt it and enforce it. The other areas, look, it took 14 months to do it. They put an ordinance out there, 14 months to move or stop smoking. And so there must be a protocol for it.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other public comments?
Thank you again, I'm Cecilia Crossbow, and I brought a handout that I got online, and it's in reference to multi-unit. All of 81 municipalities in the state of California who have passed it, when they passed it, whether it includes their balconies, and if they also included condominiums. And so I think this is a very powerful tool. And it also on the handout referenced, the Sterling, the Davis Sterling, website, where it talks about, how HOAs do have the power, to enact this kind of resolution, that there'll be absolutely no smoking. However, it's so costly, it would be easier for associations like ourselves to incorporate an ordinance passed by our local city. And so I'll give this to you, and also references some other information. But also as a person who suffers from asthma, and my husband does as well, it's a very near and dear to me. I have someone who lives above me, and their cigarette smoke comes through my closet. So, and the fumes come into my dwelling. We had renters who had to leave because they were pregnant, and the smoke would come into their dwelling. So it's high personal, and it's also financial and environmental, because if someone is smoking outside, we have a lot of trees, we have a lot of dry brush. I think this would add to our safety and protect our dwellings as well. So I hope this helps, and we can move with something like this. Can I have it to you?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hello. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself first. So my name is Catherine Gutierrez, and I'm program manager for our prevention services in Sun Street. So not the county on Sun Street, but we do partner with the county. And I just wanted to share, I also brought some of our students from our youth leadership program. We call them the Safe Teens Empowerment Project of Sun Street Centers, and we're countywide. And I've also brought my staff, Teresa Mendoza, who is, our prevention coordinator. So really quickly, I just wanted to share some results from our vaping presentations that we have presented for our Seaside Elementary Schools and our Monterey Elementary Schools. And I specifically chose to talk about those just because I know some of your youth here in Delray Oaks will attend either or school. And I come with you with two questions that we asked them in the survey before we present. And right here, we're talking about sixth grade students. So we're talking about students that are 11 to 12 years old. And the first one is, where do students get vape pens? And the top answer was friends. The second answer was online, and the third answer was older siblings. So those were the top three. And why would someone your age want to vape? Top three answers. One being friends, because my friends are doing it. Second answer is because it's what's trending. And third answer is because they are worried, nervous, or angry. Again, these are 11 and 12-year-olds answering these questions. We go as early as fourth grade. I do want to mention that, but for today I just have sixth grade results. And with these results in mind, we as a substance abuse prevention team, really just, first want to thank you for considering the tobacco license ordinance as well as smoke-free parks. And I really just want to emphasize on working together as a team where, you know, we will continue to create this outreach and education for our youth, ranging from fourth, third, all the way to high school. We've also gone to CS2MB and presented to their students as well regarding the dangers of vaping, tobacco, and I want to include marijuana in there as well, because that's also, you can vape marijuana. And yeah, so I really hope that, you know, we can work together, especially for this Delray Oaks community, and we'll continue to serve your youth and educate your youth, and I really hope that we get your support as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and members of the public. My name is Tanya Russ. I'm the Community Program Manager with the Blue Zones Project, Monterey County. It's great to be here this evening. Congratulations to you all for taking this important issue up and with such swift action. Great to have our partners here, and wonderful to see that, you know, hopefully with the passage of this, there will actually only be 2 more jurisdictions in Monterey County that have not passed a tobacco retail license. So I think it's absolutely critical here, you know, when we're looking at our peninsula cities, how close in proximity we all are to one another. So really having a unified approach to tobacco control as it relates with the tobacco retail licensing is utmost importance. So thank you for being kind of that final piece of the puzzle here on the coast as it relates to that sort of work. And then, of course, the smoke-free outdoor spaces is so critical, and of course, in alignment with what we're trying to advocate for with Blue Zones Project, of getting people of all ages outdoors, moving, protecting our outdoor spaces, keeping them tobacco-free, makes it better for our young people, any of our vulnerable populations, just keeping the clean air available for all to enjoy is important. And I'm happy to hear you all talking about smoke-free multi-unit housing. We will definitely be in support of that as well. And I'm excited to see another set of leadership here. And hopefully we'll encourage some of our other neighboring jurisdictions to do the same. So thank you for your leadership and your support of that. And happy holidays to you. Thank you.
Any other public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Any further questions or comments, Councilmember Ely?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want, my comment to be short, and I really support, this, ordinance. And personally, when I was a kid, I'm the sickly boy of my mother. And because I always have asthma, even a very small smoke would trigger my asthma. And I cannot breathe. So that's why I think of all of those also individuals who are here in our city who have that kind of issue. And really this is an answer for giving them the right to have clean air and be healthy in our city. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, no further comments.
Okay, I just make sure.
I want to thank Councilmember Halleck for working with me on this. And, as I'm a health instructor at FLC, I've been teaching there now for 15 years. And, the addiction of nicotine is rough. And to see people try and, give that up. I've had so many students who have come to me and really try as they're taking my class. So this is something that's just near and dear to my heart. So I'm really, really pleased that we are working on these ordinances. So thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Bill.
No further comments, or I was gonna jump in and make a motion, but I realized that it probably should be. Whichever chairman can do it. Because there's two ordinances, probably two separate votes, I'm guessing, but they've spearheaded this thing and they've run through. It's their time to shine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would like to also echo the comments from the council and from the public. I really appreciate the swift action that's been brought up by both sides, council and the public, and the hard work that the city manager did pulling this together. I mean, it takes a lot of time and resources to do that, and the help from those of you in the public that have helped with this process. I really appreciate that, and above all, the collaboration that I saw between both Councilmember Halleck and Councilmember Shirley. I really appreciate that as well. Now, regarding the actual item and the motion that is before us, from what I understand and hearing from our city attorney, it would be the amendment process that would address the issues of businesses and potential signage outside of those businesses and the multi-unit dwellings. Is that correct? Okay, I just want to get that clarified before someone makes a motion, and with that, I'll accept the motion on this item.
So just a quick question, do we need to have two votes or can we just lump them all into one?
It's probably cleanest just to do the two separate motions.
Okay.
I don't think it's, fatal either way. but-
Okay, well, I move that we approve the tobacco retail license ordinance.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Second motion.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve the first reading of the smoke-free public place ordinance.
And I'll second that.
To include the aforementioned amendments as discussed.
The amendment could be direction to staff, which will be brought back to you for a first reading separate.
I'll withdraw that amendment, just the motion as initially structured.
Okay, you have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Okay, congratulations. Move on to, reports, city manager report.
Nothing, just, happy holidays, everybody.
Well, by the way, hopefully, if anybody has been disrupted in any way with the workout front, hopefully that'll be done for the next couple of months until they come back in the morning. But we'll let you know well in advance.
Okay, council reports are in the packet as well as correspondence. Our next meeting date, I don't see it on the agenda. Which day would that be? I know we approved that within the consent agenda. That's why it's not on there, but
Tuesday in January.
January 23rd.
okay, it'll be January 23rd. So with that, we are adjourned.